Siri has come a long way after Apple acquired and launched in beta on the iPhone 4S. With WWDC right around the corner, let's talk about what we'd love to see included with iOS 12, watchOS 5, tvOS 12, and macOS 10.14. Welcome everyone, it is Andrew from AppleInsider here. And yes, even though Siri has grown and has a lot of new features, there's still a lot of areas that Siri is definitely falling behind. So let's tackle our list of 8 big features that we want to see included with an updated version of Siri. Starting off with an easy one, just find my iPhone. Apple already offers a bunch of different ways for you to find your device, logging in online, using Find My iPhone on your iPad, or even pinging it from your Apple Watch. But why can't you just ask one of your devices where your iPhone is? Ask your iPad, ask your Apple Watch, and it should be able to ping or make some noise or give you a location. Why can't it do that? It seems pretty straightforward. Or even just saying loudly, hey Siri, where are you? And having that enable like a lost mode, just like Find My iPhone, where it'll let out a series of pings. That could be really handy if it's just lost in a room or somewhere in your house, as long as it's within earshot and it'll actually pick up your voice. Imagine the practicality of being able to find your iPhone just from your watch, your HomePod, your iPad, or your Apple TV. Our second request would be linking multiple commands. Siri seems pretty rudimentary when it comes to actually asking her to do things, and you can only ask fairly simple questions and commands of her. This is especially noticeable with HomeKit. If you want to do several things at the same time, and they're not happen to be set up in an actual scene, you have to do them all one by one. So my kitchen lights, I have to first tell them to turn them on, then set them to the correct percentage, and then the color that I want them to go to. The time required to send all these commands can really stack up the more commands that you're trying to do at the same time. Siri should be pretty contextually aware. Why can't you just do all of this in one single command? So instead of having to issue those 3 commands for my lights, just say, Siri, can you turn on the kitchen lights, set them to 50%, and make them blue? Obviously, this applies to a lot more areas than just HomeKit, but it's one of the ones that I face most often. Another really basic request, Siri just needs to be better at voice and context recognition. A lot of times it'll just seem really out of the left field and not really know what's going on or what was just asked in previous commands. There's also been a ton of times just in recording this video where she did not understand what I was saying. When I asked her to remind me to rent a boat this weekend, she wanted to rent me a moped. That's definitely not what I was looking for. Even on my Mac, I'm not even sure what she thought I was trying to say at this point. Said experience Austie kitchen lights. None of that is what I was going for. But that does lead into our fourth request, which is HomeKit on the Mac. Where is HomeKit on the Mac? This has been lacking for a while. And it's even more noticeable with the launch of AirPlay 2. AirPlay 2 isn't on the Mac because it relies partially on HomeKit. And there's no HomeKit here. Can't turn off your lights, can't lock your doors, can't even tell speakers to do different things. None of that is possible on the Mac, and it is really starting to get irksome, and this should definitely be fixed, hopefully this year at WWDC. In the HomePod's short lifespan, there's been one thing that we've heard more often than not, and that's where is the multi-user support? Why can't I ask for music recommendations versus my girlfriend asking for music recommendations and get personalized responses back? Or even when it comes to calendar appointments or texting. This is something that other smart speakers already have, so why isn't it on the HomePod? It could also be useful for other instances too. Think of the Apple TV when you ask Siri to open Hulu or Netflix. It automatically logs you in with the correct profile because it knows who's asking. The same goes for asking about a calendar appointment, another feature you can't do on the Apple TV. We also need to open Siri up to more developers. There are many categories that Siri is capable of handling, but it just really needs to open up in general. Think of Alexa. There are thousands of different skills that you can enable that do tons of different things, whether it's working with different smart home platforms, which is probably not likely to happen with Siri, but other skills like being able to turn on your car or feed your pet. There's a ton of different and unique skills that can be put on here. Some are going to be a little bit useless, like asking Jeopardy questions, but some can be genuinely useful. Companies like the Canary smart camera have integrated, as well as things like PetNet, the smart pet feeder, and even Ford and many other car companies. You can start your car straight from any Alexa speaker, and that'd be something I'd really like to be able to do with Siri on my iPhone, my HomePod, any of those other devices that I've got lying around. There is admittedly a lot of security and privacy concerns that Apple would have to fight through to make this happen, but if others can do it, I'm sure Apple can figure out a way. While I personally really enjoy Apple Music, it is not the only streaming service out there, and it seems unfair for Apple to block all those other music services from being accessed through Siri. Why not the new YouTube Music, Pandora, Spotify, or even Tidal? Whenever you ask about those other services, Siri just tries to play it through Apple Music, which you may not be a subscriber to. It's one thing to limit you here on your iPhone where you can still just manually go in and play the music, but it's another thing entirely to limit it on the HomePod. Using Siri, the only music that you can play is from Apple Music. Otherwise, you have to go to your iOS device, play the music directly in that app, then use AirPlay to send it to the HomePod. That is not nearly as user-friendly as it should be. Lastly, we just want some consistency, just across all different platforms. Things like Siri's AirPlay 2 commands and HomeKit aren't available on the Mac. Calendar and other things aren't available on the Apple TV. On the iPhone, it gets even more granular. Different things in Control Center can be toggled on and off using Siri, and other things can't. It's a little bit odd on which ones work and which ones don't work, and you just kind of have to know before trying to use it. Things like low power mode can easily be toggled on and off, but the flashlight can't, even though both of them are there available inside of Control Center. Portrait orientation lock doesn't work. Screen recording doesn't work. Others like do not disturb and screen brightness, they do work. So it is a little bit odd that some things work, some things don't. It should be pretty much all or nothing as far as those common and easily toggleable settings. Apple's Siri situation is just a little bit frustrating. Apple keeps pushing Siri on more and more things, on the Apple TV, on the HomePod, even giving it a voice now on the Apple Watch, and yet when it comes to new features, it's lagging significantly behind the other competitors. Apple needs to invest some serious time and effort into updating Siri and making her more capable across all platforms. Now you've heard our top 8 requests for Siri. What are yours? Let us know down below in the comments.
If you enjoyed this video, like it and hit that subscribe button. Also, check out our price guide, which makes it extremely easy to find the best deals on Apple products updated daily. Be sure to follow us on social media, and we'll see you in the next video.